Even the #1 ranked results are losing 61% of their previous clicks to this triggering of AI overviews. Long form content, my old friend. It's like a comfy pair of slippers. I've been trying to play the Instagram game, but it's not for me, I don't think. So here I am back on YouTube. The last time I built a YouTube channel, I was crushing things with tanks. But now it's a bit more serious. It's business. I want to talk to you guys about an existential change that is happening in digital marketing. It's the biggest thing that's happened in my entire professional career in the way that it is fundamentally shifting the business model that sits on top of search. And in particular, I'm talking about Google's rush to include AI in all of its pages, channels, search results, user experiences, interfaces, and the wider AI chatbot ecosystem, because it's having a dramatic impact on what it takes to attract attention on search and in AI subsequently. So the most obvious impact is in clicks from search. And there's a number of knock-on effects to that change. In the first 4 months of 2026, 68% of all searches did not end in a website visit. That's a massive change. The traditional search model was always search by phrase, blue link results, click on what you want to have a look at, come to the website. Businesses have been built on that for decades. But it's fundamentally shifting. Now we have this zero-click effect, which means that a lot of the time, in fact in this data set 68% of the time, the person that was searching found what they were looking for in an AI overview, and so they didn't need to come to the website. In fact, if you look specifically at healthcare searches, which medical aesthetics would sit within that, along with all the other healthcare search phrases that you might expect, 88% of those searches trigger an AI overview. And if you add cost or near me to those healthcare searches, that triggering of AI overviews jumps to 97%. That's a massive shift, again, and a huge change in the amount of traffic that may or may not now be making it to your clinic's website. But even the #1 ranked results are losing 61% of their previous clicks to this triggering of AI overviews. So it's a huge drop in organic traffic and potentially leads. Now we'll come back to intent, because I believe the value of a person that stops in an AI overview versus the value of a person that comes to your website but doesn't book in or contact you, it's the same. It's the same value. They're at the same stage in their journey. However, it's a massive impact on traffic and your ability to retarget those people with your advertising, because now you can't track that person. They're outside of your ecosystem. Now, specifically in aesthetics, this zero-click effect hits things like treatment guides, cost or pricing pages, FAQ pages. They're getting hit the hardest. They are the top of funnel content, which arguably is now getting pulled through into AI overviews, if it's still being indexed, and put a pin in that thought. But it means that you're losing the traffic to those kind of pages in place of hopefully appearing in the AI conversation about the same topics. Now, when I said put a pin in whether or not it's getting indexed, this is the kind of second huge impact on traffic to your website, which is Google's massive, fundamentally different and disruptive updates to their algorithm. There's been 3 or 4 big ones in the last 12 months, and in every case, pretty much every case, websites lost traffic to these educational or informational types of content. The biggest publishers, Reddit, USA Today, Business Insider, CNN, are actually thinking about blocking Google. Just think about that, blocking Google. They've built their whole business on traffic from Google, but now they're thinking, well, what's in it for us? You, Google, are taking our content, surfacing it in your AI overviews in Gemini, but what do we get back for it? I mean, in Reddit's case, they get paid for that. They get paid $60 million every year. That contract is up for renewal, but now they're thinking, well, hang on, we're losing, in some cases, up to 70% of our traffic, and what's the value exchange? There isn't one. So for me to even comprehend that websites are considering blocking Google is so bizarre, because I've spent my entire life trying to rank websites and drive traffic to websites through Google and Bing, you know, they're lovely 1.7%. But it's a fundamental shift. It's insane. And the impact of that filters down. So I've talked about some of the internet's biggest publishers, but it's happening across the board. Now, the good news is, forever and a day, and you can go back to my book that was published even before AI happened, I've always said that one thing, no matter what changes digitally, mechanically, algorithmically, one principle will remain, which is if your content is original, includes what they call EAT, your experience, your expertise, your authority, and your trust, and tells real stories about real patients and real results, it will get indexed, it will bring traffic. So if you write original content that answers patient questions, you will still win this game, but the game has changed. So the way we measure it changes, and ultimately it comes down to the business growth. Revenue, profitability are the ultimate metrics, but stepping back from that, it's going to be about new patients, retention, your conversion rate. You had better for sure have an amazing follow-up process pinned down to the nail so that you are converting as many of them as possible. Think about patient behavior and how it's changed fundamentally. 45% of consumers used AI for local business recommendations this year. And we're only halfway through. That's up from 6% last year. The kind of content that is getting hit by these algorithmic updates with Google and getting de-indexed is called YMYL, your money, your life, or health-based content. And if it's hit by Google's most volatile updates, it can take 6, maybe 12 months to recover, even if you can recover, because you've got to fundamentally rewrite all the content that got de-indexed in a new and original way. And that's becoming increasingly difficult. Depending on your size of business and the number of leads you were previously getting, it could cost anywhere between $2,000 to $20,000 to replace that lost content through paid traffic, paid social, other advertising means, PR, etc. So it's a fundamental strategic shift, because now we have to move around all the pieces of the puzzle in the marketing ecosystem to counteract this effect. And that's the good news after all the bad news in this video, is that none of this is unfixable. And the really, really good news, and not one to blow one's own trumpet, but the core principle of what I've always been saying, if you consistently stick with it and go harder into it, which is things like answer first content, original, schema markup to help these AI overviews find their way through your content. You know, you're going to get more citations, 2.5 to 3 times more than a site without those things. If you are using named providers as authors in your content, the EEAT, experience, expertise, authority, and trust content, is now your #1 defense against algorithmic volatility, because if it's written in the first person, it's going to make a huge difference. There's too much competition, too much loss in organic traffic, so you have to have a really tightly bound and operated system in terms of lead attraction, lead conversion, and retention. If any of this has resonated, or you're left feeling bemused or confused, that's what I'm here for. That's what this channel is going to be all about. Post in the comments below, send me a DM. Happy to answer your questions, happy to be challenged, because all of this is unfolding before our very eyes. Who knows, this video could date pretty quickly, but that's the risk you take in digital marketing. So if we haven't met before, I'm Rick O'Neill, I'm an expert in digital marketing, been doing it 20 years. My niche expertise area is medical aesthetics, but I've built 3 7-figure businesses. So I'll be talking about all things business, being a leader, what it's like to be to have moved country, you name it. So stick around and see you in the next one.